You're standing in the middle of an Amish farm in Holmes County, Ohio, on a day so hot the gravel road seems to shimmer in the distance. The weather report on my phone says 93 degrees. The wooden barn beside me feels like an oven. And yet, when I step through the door of a small farmhouse that has been standing here for nearly a century, the temperature drops so fast I stop walking. No air conditioner hums in the background. No vents blow from the ceiling. No compressor rattles outside. Just cool air. Cool, dry air. I looked around the room, expecting to find some hidden modern system tucked away in a corner. Instead, I found a 70-year-old Amish man named Eli sitting at a wooden table drinking iced tea. He smiled when he saw the confusion on my face. "You're looking for the machine," he said. I nodded. "There isn't one." That answer only made me more curious. For months, people had been sending me messages asking the same question. If the Amish can build homes that stay comfortable without depending on expensive modern systems, what do they do during the hottest months of the year? Most of us assume cooling requires electricity. We assume comfort requires technology. We assume every degree of cooling must be purchased from a utility company. Eli believed none of those things. He pointed toward the floor beneath our feet. "The coolest place on this farm isn't in this house," he said. "It's underneath it." At first, I thought he was talking about a cellar. Many Amish farms have root cellars where vegetables remain fresh long after harvest season, but Eli shook his head. Not the cellar. Then he leaned forward. "The tunnel. The tunnel." That single word was the reason I drove hundreds of miles to this farm. For years, rumors have circulated through homesteading communities about underground cooling systems, buried beneath old Amish properties. Most people dismiss the stories immediately. They sound impossible. The idea that a few $100s worth of pipe buried underground could cool a home sounds like something pulled from an internet conspiracy forum. Yet the more I investigated, the stranger the story became. Because underground cooling systems are not new, they're ancient. Long before electricity existed, civilizations discovered something remarkable about the earth beneath their feet. A few feet below the surface, temperatures become surprisingly stable. While the air above swings from freezing winters to scorching summers, the soil below changes far more slowly. That simple fact led people across different continents to reach the same conclusion. If the earth naturally stays cooler than the air during summer, why not use it? The Persians built underground chambers that preserved ice in desert climates. Ancient Romans routed air through subterranean passages beneath villas. Traditional European farms relied on earth-cooled storage rooms to preserve food, and when Amish settlers arrived in Pennsylvania and Ohio generations ago, they brought many of those practical ideas with them, not because they were trying to save the planet, not because they were making a political statement, because the systems worked. Eli stood from his chair and motioned for me to follow him outside. We crossed the yard behind the farmhouse and stopped near a patch of grass that looked completely ordinary. No equipment, no machinery, nothing visible at all. If Eli hadn't pointed to it, I would have walked right past. "Beneath this ground," he said, tapping the soil with his boot, "is what keeps this house comfortable." Then he looked at me and smiled. "The funny part is that the earth has been doing all the hard work for free." I thought he was exaggerating. 5 minutes later, I wasn't so sure, because what Eli showed me next completely changed the way I think about cooling a home. Eli led me toward a narrow shed sitting behind the farmhouse. At first glance, it looked no different from the dozens of other small outbuildings scattered across Amish country. But when he opened the door, I immediately noticed something unusual. The air inside was even cooler than the house. Not slightly cooler, noticeably cooler. And outside, the afternoon heat was still pushing past 90 degrees. Eli bent down and lifted a wooden panel from the floor. Beneath it was a large pipe disappearing into the darkness underground. "This is where the air begins its journey," he said. I knelt beside the opening. A steady stream of cool air flowed upward. No motor noise, no compressor, just air. The first thing that came to mind was a question. How could something buried in the ground stay cooler than the air outside for months at a time? Eli must have seen the question on my face because he started laughing. "Most folks think the sun heats the whole earth," he said. "It doesn't." Then he grabbed a shovel leaning against the wall. "Come with me." A few minutes later, we stood beside a freshly dug section of soil near the edge of a field. The deeper he pointed, the more his explanation started making sense. The sun heats the surface first, then that heat slowly moves downward, very slowly. By the time summer heat reaches several feet underground, weeks have already passed. The earth acts like a giant thermal battery, resisting sudden temperature changes. While the air above can swing 20 or 30 degrees in a single day, the deeper soil barely notices. That's why root cellars remain cool. It's why wells produce cold water even during August, and it's why buried cooling tunnels can work so effectively. According to Eli, many older Amish builders understood this principle long before anyone called it thermal mass. They simply observed what happened underground and built around it, generation after generation. The tunnel beneath this farm wasn't complicated. Air entered through an intake located away from the house. From there, it traveled through a long underground passage buried deep enough to stay surrounded by cool soil. As the air moved through the tunnel, the surrounding earth absorbed much of the heat. By the time the air reached the house, it felt completely different. Cooler, drier, more comfortable. No chemical refrigerants, no massive electric bills, just moving air and stable ground temperatures. I asked Eli how long the system had been there. He thought for a moment. Longer than I've been alive. That answer stopped me, because Eli was 70 years old. The tunnel had already been serving the farmhouse before he was born. Think about that for a second. Most modern air conditioners last maybe 15 or 20 years before major repairs start showing up. This underground system had been quietly doing its job for decades, possibly longer. No replacement schedule, no annual service contract, no outdoor unit rusting away in the weather, just earth. As we walked back toward the farmhouse, Eli pointed toward the distant fields. "You know what's funny?" he asked. "What?" "The people who built this didn't think they were inventing anything." Then he told me something that made the entire story even more interesting. The Amish weren't the first people to use this idea, not even close, and the civilization that inspired it lived thousands of years before electricity existed. Back at the farmhouse, Eli spread an old map across the kitchen table. The paper was worn at the edges and stained from decades of use. "You see this?" he asked, pointing toward a route that crossed Europe. "Our people didn't invent this." That wasn't the answer I expected. Most people assume every Amish tradition began in Pennsylvania or Ohio, but Eli explained that many practical building techniques traveled across continents long before Amish communities ever settled in America. The settlers who arrived here brought knowledge from regions where people had spent centuries learning how to work with the land instead of fighting against it. Cooling was one of those lessons. Long before electric air conditioners existed, families learned that the earth could regulate temperature more reliably than the weather above it. The principle was simple. When heat rises outside, the ground below remains relatively stable. When cold winter winds arrive, deeper soil often stays warmer than the freezing air above. The earth moderates extremes. That's why underground spaces have always been valuable. As Eli spoke, I began noticing a pattern. Every civilization facing difficult climates seemed to discover some version of the same solution. Different materials, different designs, different names, but the same basic idea. Use the stable temperature of the earth, not because it was fashionable, because it worked. Eli smiled when I mentioned that. "People trust machines more than dirt," he said. Then he took me outside again. This time we stopped beside an old root cellar built into a hillside. The heavy wooden door creaked as it opened. Cool air immediately drifted out. The temperature difference was impossible to ignore. Outside, the afternoon heat felt relentless. Inside, it felt like stepping into another season. Shelves lined the walls. Jars, potatoes, onions, apples. Nothing about the structure looked sophisticated, yet it had been preserving food for generations. No monthly bill, no complicated equipment, just careful design and an understanding of how the earth behaves. Standing there, I realized something important. The tunnel beneath Eli's farmhouse wasn't really a cooling machine. It was an extension of the same principle that made root cellars work. The earth wasn't producing cold air. It was absorbing heat. That's a major difference. Modern cooling systems actively move heat using compressors, refrigerants, and motors. The tunnel simply allows the ground to do what it naturally does, slowly absorb energy. That simplicity is exactly what makes the system so fascinating. The more I learned, the more I wondered why so few homeowners knew anything about it. After all, cooling costs continue rising. Energy prices fluctuate every year, yet most people never even hear about alternatives that use the temperature beneath their own property. I asked Eli whether these systems could still be built today. He nodded. Of course. Then he paused. But building it and getting permission to build it are sometimes two different things. That sentence changed the direction of our conversation, because what started as a story about a cooling tunnel was becoming a story about something much larger. Over the years, building standards, regulations, and modern construction practices gradually pushed these systems further into the background, not necessarily because they stopped working. In many cases, they simply stopped being part of the conversation. And according to Eli, that's where the real mystery begins, because once you understand what happened next, you'll understand why most people have never heard of the tunnel buried beneath this farmhouse at all. The next morning, Eli and I sat on the farmhouse porch before sunrise. The air was cool, the fields were quiet, and for the first time since arriving, I asked the question that had been sitting in the back of my mind. If these systems work so well, why doesn't everyone use them? Eli looked across the pasture for a moment before answering. Because the world changed. As towns grew into cities, and cities grew into suburbs, homes began depending more and more on mechanical systems. Builders wanted methods that could be installed quickly. Manufacturers wanted products that could be produced at scale. Home buyers became accustomed to flipping a switch and getting instant results. Slow, passive systems gradually disappeared from mainstream construction, not overnight, little by little, generation by generation. Eventually, most people forgot they existed. Eli wasn't claiming there was a secret conspiracy hiding tunnels beneath the ground. His point was simpler. Knowledge that isn't passed down eventually fades away. When schools stop teaching it, builders stop building it. When builders stop building it, homeowners stop asking about it. And after enough years pass, people assume the idea never existed in the first place. Yet beneath farms across Amish country, the evidence remained, working quietly, year after year. The tunnel under Eli's house had survived changing governments, changing technologies, and changing generations. The earth beneath it remained exactly the same, 55 degrees, just as it had been decades earlier, just as it would be decades from now. Before leaving, I followed Eli one last time to the patch of ground covering the buried tunnel. Nothing about it looked special. No expensive equipment, no flashing lights, no control panel, just grass growing over soil. If you drove past the property, you would never know it was there. That may be the most remarkable part of the entire story. The system hides in plain sight. The cooling source isn't a machine, it's the ground itself. The tunnel is simply the path. As I prepared to leave, Eli offered one final thought. People spend their lives looking for complicated answers, he said. Most of the time, the best ones are already underneath their feet. Driving away from the farm, I couldn't stop thinking about that. For generations, families across Amish country observed something most of us overlook every day. The earth stores temperature. That's it. No magic, no mystery, just physics. The same physics that keeps root cellars cool. The same physics that keeps deep wells cold in summer. The same physics flowing beneath farms, neighborhoods, and cities across the country right now. Maybe this tunnel won't work for every property. Maybe it isn't the perfect solution for every climate. But it raises an important question. How many useful ideas have been forgotten simply because newer technologies arrived? And how many solutions are still hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice them again? The Amish never forgot what the earth could do. Eli certainly didn't, and after seeing that farmhouse for myself, neither will I. If you've ever seen a root cellar, a springhouse, or another old-fashioned method that worked without constant electricity, share it in the comments, because sometimes the most valuable knowledge isn't new at all. Sometimes it's something that quietly worked for generations while the rest of the world stopped paying attention.